Refocus. Hey, hey, look who it is. I am live. Welcome to today's live stream. Uh, if you're just discovering the channel, I am Brad. Um, I tie classic Atlantic salmon flies and Mary Orvis marbury flies and other classic flies. And yeah, I have not been live for a couple of months now, probably since before Christmas. Yeah, and we'll get into why. I definitely want to talk about that. But welcome to the stream. If you enjoy what I do and want to see more of my work, you can check out my Instagram. I'm at justwondering.brad on Instagram. And if you'd like to purchase any of the flies that you see me tie, um, you can check out my Etsy shop, Studio1213 on Etsy. And let's get into the fly today. So we're going to tie a fly. It's from Francis. I think it's called or pronounced the Quin. It's an Irish fly. Sorry if I am mispronouncing it. Also, if you're new to the stream, if you see me looking over this way, it's because I have my monitor over here so that I can keep tabs on the stream. This will also go up as a recording, so you can't hang around. You can check it out later. It's a simple fly. I didn't want to get into too complicated of a fly today, being that, first day back. Also, I'm going to be taking some time off. Well, I'm going to be taking a weekend off March 19th because I will be tying or I will be exhibiting at the Maryland fly fishing, and I believe it's fly fishing and collectibles Hackle show, and that will be in. Excuse my bobbin. That will be in Aberdeen, Maryland, this year, at one of the convention centers. You can probably look it up. But yeah. I will be exhibiting and demonstrating. It looks like a good show. It's a show that I was supposed to be at 2 years ago, but then COVID-19 started and everything kind of shut down. It also happened to conflict with. Was this a show? This might have been the show that conflicted with a family funeral that I was unable to attend. Because a lot of things happened right in a row early 2020. But anyway, happy to be back. I haven't tied a fly in a long time, so another reason to tie a very simple fly. And also, I have a lot to talk about. A lot's been going on. So yeah, I am tying today on partridge. CS26. Love these hooks. If you're looking for a light wire-eyed salmon fly hook, this is a great hook. I think you probably have seen me tie on this a number of times. Tie a lot on it. Yeah. I think technically I am on the Partridge Pro staff. I should know this, but it's been such a long time since I've been to a show and interacted with Partridge. I honestly don't remember. Oh, and I believe it's Dietz Flies shop that imports partridge hooks into the U.S. now. So I think I'm technically pro staff for Dietz Flies. Sorry if I'm getting that wrong. So yeah. What's been going on? Well, I will tell you, I didn't mean to take so much time off from streaming. However, the Omicron surge hit us really hard in my squeaky bobbin. I probably should have laid down the underbody before starting to talk. Uh, before going live, but here we are. So the Omicron surge really hit our region hard. And for those of you who are new to the stream or just haven't heard, I actually work for my local Department of Health. I'm an epidemiologist. My primary role actually is to assist our K-12 schools with planning and implementing COVID-19 measures and measures against other infectious diseases. And it just the Omicron surge. The Delta surge was pretty bad. We went from almost no cases per day in September, and that ramped up very quickly once the Delta surge hit. But we only hit a peak of about 100 to 120 cases per day. And things had started to go back down, but then when Omicron started, we went from I think we were down to about 50 cases per day between the surges, and then Omicron hit and we were up to 200, 300. I think we had a peak of about 400 or 500 cases per day. So it was really bad. We were very busy, and I just needed my weekends to decompress, not do anything. Spend time with the family. So I decided not to stream as long as the Omicron surge was going. It was a good decision. Definitely helped me keep my sanity. Because, the Omicron surge hit us at right about the time, people were starting to lose interest in like wearing masks, which is completely understandable. We've been doing it now for a long time. Sorry about the button upload changes. All right. White underbody is not so great for filming. Great for laying down, a nice floss body. Not great for filming, apparently. That's very, very shiny. But we'll cover it up. We'll cover up real soon. Gosh, I hate this button. Somebody remind me, maybe on Instagram. Somebody give me a reminder. Get a new bobbin at the show. Thank you. So we're gonna go straight into black thread, just because that's what I have on my other bobbin right now, and I'm not gonna take the time to switch thread colors like I normally would. So, like I said, simple fly. It's got a wing, bronze mallard wing. So I'm just going to measure it out, and I'm not going to tie this in a. It's a very simple fly, so it's not. It's not. It's not the style of Atlantic salmon fly that has like a super complicated wing body. The proportions are almost more like a Mary Orvis Marbury style lake fly. And that's actually going to be the style that I'm going to tie it in, because that's appropriate to something that is this simple. A lot of Mary Orvis Marbury flies, actually, the American lake flies, are very similar to the more simple classic Atlantic salmon flies in a lot of ways, both in their material, lists, but also just in the style in which they're tied. course, then we added things like, extra body joints, chenille butts, the kind of the built up wings, but instead of using like golden pheasant, we used a lot of duck in regular Marbury flies. There's a lot of golden pheasant, but if you think of things like the canard, I think that's how you pronounce it. Um, that uses wood duck in the wing instead, and it kind of produces the same effect because barred wood duck, the barring on the golden pheasant tippet, similar effect. Okay. Now, the thing that caught my eye about this particular fly is that it uses one of my favorite materials, Peacock, the blue and green Peacock neck and breast, or well, I guess neck feathers. Um, Absolutely gorgeous. One of my favorite materials, just from a visual standpoint. So we are going to tie in bronze mallard tail. A nice robust tail. I'd probably tie this a little bit more sparse if I was going to fish it, but this is going on somebody's wall, hopefully. So we'll just and we're just going to tie in a few fibers of Peacock right on top. And it'll end up getting a little bit mixed, I think, which is all well and good. So we're going to trim this. Give it a good taper because there's no butt. There's no butt to hide that extra bulk. So we're just going to trim it with a taper and blend it in with the body taper here. And let's see. Where did I put? Hey Donovan, thanks for hanging out. Yeah, I'm happy to be back. It's actually been a long time since I've even sat down behind a vise to tie. So a little bit, hopefully not too rusty, but we'll see. Um, uh, yeah, yeah. Hope things have been well with you. Um, Sorry, I am just waiting for my tying wax to soften up. And we'll dub a body. It uses it calls for fiery red pig's wool. I don't quite have a fiery red. This is just kind of a plain red. Um, this is dyed by Bill Bailey, of course. Um, it's a very nice material. Yeah, not much to say about it, just because it is very nice. Um, and of course, Bill does a great job with his colors. All right. Again, if you just joined the stream, we're tying a inch Quin from Francis. It's a very simple fly, so we're tying it in the style of a Mary Orvis Marbury fly with upright bronze mallard whole full feather wing. And we're going to dub this body in a couple of segments just because pig's wool is a little bit temperamental. It's a very coarse material, so it doesn't like to. It's not the most readily dubbable material, especially on a fly this small. I'm going to trim it just a little bit so it's not too wild again because this is only a size 2 hook. And in case you missed the announcement, I will be at the Maryland Fly Fishing and Collectible Tackle Show in Aberdeen on the 19th, March 19th. I'll be exhibiting. I'll have a table. I probably should look into what I need to bring. I don't know if I need to bring tablecloth, but I will have a table. And yeah, come by, stop by and say hello, chat. If you can make it. And I'll put this out here right now, right here, just because, you know, I'm sure there'll be questions. But I will be wearing a mask to the show. And that's because I do see patients in person on occasion. I am not a doctor. I'm not an MD. I am a doctor, but I'm not that sort of doctor. But I do assist with various public health related events, and I do want to protect my patients. Well, we alternatively call them patients and clients. It depends on what they're coming to us for. But, you know, I do want to protect them. So I will be wearing a mask at the show still, nonetheless. And I actually say this even on a non-pandemic show here. Feel free to ask me questions. I'm oftentimes super zoomed in on my work, and so you should just come up, ask, feel free. I might not be able to look up and acknowledge just because of what I'm working on, but please feel free to just come up and ask me questions. I get that a lot, like from other vendors, like, man, you sure ignore the people. Come up and talk to you. It's like, no, it's just because of what I'm working on. So see me at the show, please feel free. Even if I don't look like I'm open to questions, I always am. It may just be I'm working on something super delicate. Yeah. Anyway, I'm excited for shows to be back in kind of a more normal fashion. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing some of you at the show. Excellent. So This body, we'll give it a rib, and just because there's no body hackle, I'm actually going to give this 7 ribs, a nice odd number, but you know, just give it a little bit of extra visual appeal, just because again it doesn't have a body hackle. If I can evenly space them. Odd numbers are always more visually interesting, I guess. I don't actually know the theory behind it. I'm not a designer or an artist really by training. A lot of things I've just kind of learned by feel. Or thanks to publications like Fly Tire magazine or the old Salmon Flyer magazines. Oh, right. Throat. Just checking the live stream. Running good. The throat is fiery brown rooster hackle. This is just my old normal whiting hackle. And you want to use rooster hackle for this kind of fly. For a classic look, because we tend to over tie classic Atlantic salmon flies. I've mentioned this before, but kind of for a classic look, you want a hackle that has less webbing. We tend to use a lot of very webby hackles like Schlappen for salmon flies, when in actuality they probably tied it with classically they were tied with a more, or I should say, a less webby hackle. They're also tied with a lot smaller hackles, what we would call Indian rooster capes, is typically what was available, or that quality, I should say, was typically what was available. And so they didn't have these kind of, very luxurious capes that we have available now. We are definitely in the golden age of tying materials for sure. Synthetics aside. So I'm just going to fold our hackle on the fly, just gently pulling it back. You don't have to fully fold it. You just have to make sure that the fibers don't cross the stem in the wrong direction. I know, like, it makes for a nice picture to have a fully folded hackle, but practically speaking, once you start winding the hackle onto the fly, you can fold it as you go, so to speak. I've sort of crowded the eye a little too much here, but that's okay. Actually not. I'm going to walk this back a little bit. I'm actually going to tie it a little bit shorter, just because I want a few longer fibers, or I want to get into the longer fibers a little quicker. Still had some. It's still in the shorter fiber range when I tied that in the first time. So I'm just going to tie this a little bit up. As I've said before, that's one of the things about fly tying, especially these kinds of flies. If you don't like it, take it off, tie it in again. One of the things that uh, I see a lot of, well, especially younger tires, but even some experienced tires do, is they'll complete a fly and they'll say to me, I tied this in and I didn't like it when I tied it in, but I finished the fly anyway. And I always want to be like, you don't have to leave it if you don't like it. All right. Uh, Thread wraps are reversible. All right. So that's a little messy, but it will come together. We're going to build up a little bit extra bulk right at the throat as usual, just to help the wing. In this case, a pair of bronze mallard feathers. Kind of get over the. Sorry, again, when you tie in a hackle, the stem of the hackle, the rachis has thickness, and so that extra thickness creates a little bit of a bump. And in order to get the wing to sit against the body properly, you want to add a little bit of bulk right in front of the throat, um, to combat that, because otherwise your wing's just going to stick up off in the stratosphere. Now that is a look. That is definitely a look, and that is certainly a look that people like. Um, and if that's the look that you are going for, then I'm not gonna tell you you can't, or that's wrong, because it's not. Certainly, there are plates of flies, illustrations of flies with that look, but that is not the look I am going for. Um, I'm not choosing that look. So I want this to be a pretty sleek fly. I just flattened the stem, the rachis of the bronze mallard, um, just to help it stay. I need to check my work. And like I said, this fly originally was tied in was as slipped wing. However, this is pretty. Even though this is only a size 2 hook, this is actually still pretty big, for this style of fly. Um, it probably would have been tied on on an even smaller hook, um, especially given the kind of sparseness of the material list. So I'm tying this a little bit. I'm tying it as a larger fly, basically. And because I'm working with whole feathers, I'm going to wax my thread, as usual. This isn't like a built wing or slip wing fly where you need the thread to slide down like the feather, the slips, in order to get a proper tie-in. You want it to grasp and hold the bronze mallard right away. And just because these are a little bit in the way, cut those off. There we go. So make sure they're centered on the wing, on the body there. It's not quite the perfect matched pair, but it'll do. And then we're just going to put a few sprigs along the sides of the wing, just to set off the wing. Just kind of sitting back and looking at it. The wing does seem a little bit large. It seems a little bit long. I think I want the wing to be a smidge shorter, actually. And that'll actually bring down the wing a smidge as well. So I think I want the wing to be about a quarter of an inch shorter. Or maybe an eighth of an inch shorter. It's just a little bit long over the body. So we're going to take it off and redo it. Just a little bit better. Maybe a little bit more. Okay. Trusty pliers, flat nose pliers. Flatten the stem, so just kind of mash it down. All right, that's much better. That also seems a little bit more in proportion, just generally. All right, so a couple sprigs of blue. Just I'll focus on hopefully not catching too much of the throat. Okay. Let's one side. This other. Let's see. How much do I have to try? Now, I will say doing this method does kind of take away one of the really striking things about this pattern when it's tied in the Atlantic salmon form, and that's the kind of mixed bronze mallard and bright blue uh, um, peacock wing. Doing it this way, it's a little bit, all of the components are a little bit more distinct. The colors don't blend quite as well, obviously, and there's just two of them, so it's very obvious. Uh, but again, this style of fly, just with the hook that I had, the materials that I had, this style of fly made sense. I do wish I had some more. I used to have, so I used to have quite a few of them. I only have a few of them left now, but I had these size 4 and 5 blind eye Harrison Bartley hooks. So tiny, tiny little things. Um, they would have been perfect for this fly. The only problem is can't see them on camera all that well for a live stream. So not great for you. So this was kind of the next best thing. Uh, but again, this fly, when it would have been tied significantly smaller. And actually, most classic Atlantic salmon flies historically would have been tied significantly smaller than we tie them today. So anyway, this is the inch Quin from Francis, tied as a Mary Orvis Marbury style lake fly, um, with the full feather golden pheasant wing, or golden pheasant bronze mallard wing. Um, Thanks for hanging out with me today. Short stream, I know, but just getting back into it. This is the first fly that I've tied in probably a month and a half. I appreciate your patience hanging out, especially as I've been on hiatus, I guess, or absent. So yeah, I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the views and likes, and the follows on Instagram. Focus. And yeah. So hopefully, as things start to slow down in the world of COVID-19 and public health, I will be able to get back to streaming on a more regular basis. I've got some ideas. If you have any ideas for flies that you'd like to see me to try, it is subject to what materials I have, but I would be happy to at least look into flies and tie flies that you'd be interested in seeing. Again, my material stockpile is pretty limited for classic, excuse me, classic Atlantic salmon flies. Say that 10 times fast. Just right now because of I guess supply chain issues, not having tied in a while, so I'm not actually sure what materials I need to stock up on again. It's all got to fit in the chest because that's what I take to shows. But if there's a fly that you'd like to see me tie, put it in the comments. Or actually, better yet, put it in the comments on my Instagram. I check that a lot more often. I do try to stay on top of the comments with the YouTube, but Instagram is really my primary social media outlet at this point. I'm not updating the Facebook page anymore, and my website is years out of date at this point. Because Instagram is really where I'm on a lot, and so yeah, if you have a request, put it there. I have some ideas for some fun things that we could try. Some of them will be dependent on participation from you guys, mostly in the form of suggestions. I'm not asking anybody to send me anything, but I have some fun ideas, particularly, what's the, for example, one idea that I've had is, you pick a feather or a material, and I have to make a fly themed around it. Things like that. Let me know if fun, interactive things like that are of interest to you, and we'll try to incorporate them into the streams. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. Again, if you enjoy looking at these flies and want to see more of my work, I'm on Instagram at justwondering.brad. And you can purchase these flies from my Etsy shop, Studio1213. All of the funds from the Etsy shop do go back into the channel to improve. Microphone purchased with Etsy shop funds. I've got a couple of new lights that I'm using. From also using Etsy shop money. I would like to improve my background. It's not great right now, mostly because it's very narrow. So that's one thing that I'd like to upgrade. The other thing, I am looking to get a new vise. I know I keep saying this, but I really am coming around to the idea that I need a new vise. So those are all kind of things in the works. Of course, I have one good studio light. I'd like to get a few more, particularly once I have a good background up to illuminate the background. So yeah, thanks for hanging out. Maybe a stream next weekend, probably a stream next weekend. And then the 19th, I'll be at the Maryland Fly Fishing and Collectible Tackle Show in Aberdeen. That's the 19th. It's from 9 to 4. Come hang out. Yeah. And have a good rest of your Sunday. Take care.